Okay, listen, 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 listen. I felt like looking like Quagcaller today, so that's why I put this shirt on, because my sleep-deprived brain found it funny. Here, look at that. Look at me. Look at that. Look at me. It's funny. Um, listen. The reason I'm a real gamer is because I stay up all night playing games I'm not sure if I even like. Um, Diablo came out, so I'm living on coffee today. I only played until the sun came up, and then 2 more hours. But Redux builds. I did a very tiny amount of post-stream playing yesterday, and before we go back to weapon testing and some of the ideas I was toying with yesterday, I just gotta show you guys how silly this is. I just gotta show you how silly this is. But how's everyone doing? Scroll, Higgybrit, Sora, Jester, Priz, Hazel, Mr. Sean. Yeah, the quad collar shirt. It's funny. Lizzie. D4 thoughts? I'm genuinely not sure if I like it. Like, I think I do. We'll see what the end game's like. Certainly got a lot of stuff. The game world is big. So yeah, one observation I made is that Euphys on Amnesia, probably not the best idea. Yeah, we're just gonna do some Dreadwinding. Now, note that this is Hammer Zerker Dreadwind. This is not. This is not with Alchemical Agent. So, Blast Chill Dreadwind is, pretty good. Like, it's okay. It's okay. Let's not overhype it. It seems perfectly reasonable. Nothing crazy. And I want to point out that this is with me making an emergency armor swap because I had too much damage and was dying to my own damage. Like, I need a Harbinger that doesn't have status damage here. Having all damage would be better. But like I switched to the Tyrant's Truth because the Amnesia was killing me a lot. Like a lot. And it's still good. The Dreadwind Explode is cool. Yeah. It's also very interesting because you can get a lot of blast kills off of Dreadwind. It takes 4 times per second per enemy. So if you're spinning in the middle of 5 enemies, well, you get the idea. And this also allows us to use Blood of the Fallen Dreadwind, which has always been a cool flavor option. And it lets you do the Augment, which is a fun little bit of risk reward. The damage taken actually stacks up to a point where it's relevant. Also, this is with just 1 blast chill. I could have 2. I'm currently only getting 1 point from my armor. I could get an additional point. I didn't bother to change the skill tree from something else the save was. I just went over and was looking for a Hammer Zerker that had melee gear on it, and didn't change the skill tree. No awe. We don't have infinite skill points, so no awe. Also, I probably wouldn't even do it. Blast Chill can't crit. And I like this stuff deep in Berserker Tree more than I want off, so. Harbinger beating through some of Banshee's damage aura. Mr. Madness, thank you for the 23 months. I appreciate it. How are you? I think I want to use Agony over Body Rune. It's just the Harbinger is why I'm still using Body Rune right now. If I had a Fire Banshee, then I think we could comfortably one-cycle her. But Mino has. We're the working as intended according to Epic of Vorkanar's protection. Yeah, you can get full reflect chance thingy. Patiently counting the days before I can play Diablo 4. It's already destroyed my sleep schedule, so yeah. Looking forward to you being able to, oh, well, the boss is dead. Looking forward to you being able to enjoy it as well, Mr. Madness. Oh, the, highly mitigating fire damage thing. I decided I didn't want to do that because the, loss of class power, but maybe I try that anyway. Like, The damage swing from having amnesia probably makes that worth it. For all classes, it cannot. Unless it's changed in Redux. In vanilla, there are two versions of the item. One from Mount Craw that rolls Clawbringer power, and one from Mirror 4 that rolls Blight Collar power. Unless they've added additional versions or changed those versions in Redux, those are the only classes it gets. And I've only seen those two in the mod, so. Would have had to have been a recent change. Class to go with Rogue. I played the first two beta weekends, and I enjoyed Rogue the most in those weekends, so that's what I went with. Yeah, fusion. I don't think we can... Well... Like... But there's no point. Right? Morning, Primordial. How you doing? We'd have to run, like, a poison weapon with a body rune. I'll pick it up, but like, there's no point. I don't think. I'm okay with there being builds fusion doesn't fit into. I think. By explosions. So true, bestie. Okay, let's roll Amulet. Item slots that I'm not hugely, like, locked in on here. The Amulet slot and the Ward slot. Makes me wish that ability conversion armor was an Amulet. You know me, I keep combining armors. Like, the number of times I was like, oh, I can use Fair Share and Fusion. Nope, I can't do that. Look like Vsauce with a cut. I'll take it. How you doing, Lizard Leech? Hey, there's a Stabo Universal Soldier. I can use that for Stabomatic stuff, I guess. Oh yeah, so I was thinking about Reaper of Bones, Universal Soldier, Blast Chill on an Amnesia as a build. Good old Bereaver, Reaper of Bones stuff. It's like, we'd not only have Blast Chill, we'd have up to 3 bonus elements on it. Like, it'd be doing cryo damage. We could have dark magic, fire, and cryo bonus elements on it without too much hassle. Sometimes I'm thinking of builds like this would be really cool with fair share. And remember, it's an armor slot. Yeah, it's same reason Deathless doesn't see a lot of use in the vanilla game. And it's still a bit limited in Redux as well, to be fair. Because the armor slot is highly competitive. The updated Greyborn enchants? Yeah. At some point I'll make a pass back around to companion builds. Those Greyborn enchants really make me want to try to maximize that. Gearbox didn't need to nerf Blast Chill the way that it took away options. That's not what happened. Gearbox restricted Blast Chill to being melee, true melee only, and buffed it. It literally got stronger. It's just it was moved to only one thing. And I still maintain that that was a good decision at the time because we saw how rampant certain forms of not hitting your melee button melee became right after, with, say, Spellblade, Infinite Buffmeister, Stab-O-Matic being just a thing people were doing. And we saw directly with the previous game, with Borderlands 3, where the form of melee nobody did was the one where you hit your melee button. So having a couple of things in the game that only trigger from that, still a good idea. You got a couple of effects, such as the Banshee projectiles, such as Assault and Battery Dagger Storm, such as Hilt mods, and then you got Blast Chill. There's nothing wrong with that. They didn't need to rework Blast Chill to what they did, because they didn't nerf it. They buffed it and restricted it, and fixed a couple bugs that were causing it to do less damage. But I'm glad they did. I'm also glad it's reverted in Redux. It was something that was appropriate for the time. Fair Trade get the same interaction plate mail does? Yes. 3% fire rate is a lot? Yeah. Fine, animals doing fine as well. Might get ducklings soon. Ooh, nice. I don't know where it could be useful due to being ability damage locked. It lets you stack Pog Totem augment faster. That's the big thing. But I can't think of any real other ways that Fair Share is particularly good for that purpose. I guess it makes your play the angles retrigger have a separate proc opportunity, but it doesn't make your play the angles trigger. So it's just worse at that than plate mail is. Okay, I was here for something. Right, I wanted an acne. I don't have one in my storage. It must be on another save. The extra one we got yesterday. I don't need an agony. I don't have a Warcanars either. It'd be fun. Here, I'll put on the Amnesia. We'll live life on the edge. It'll be fine. I wonder if I burn through the Wardew. Wait, yeah, Mace Wardew can also Blast Chill. Hang on. Hang on. Where's my Mace Wardew? Excuse me. There it is. Looking hammer and anvil. Yeah. Mace Ward is interesting because you get a very tanky shield for just being bulky with unarmored defense. And with Dreadwind, you are already in range. So it'd make the most sense to put Euphys on my shield and then Dreadwind enchant on the item I take out to spin with. But I already have an ASA there. Oh, yeah. This is fine. Oh yeah, Consec melee. I wonder if this stacks faster with plate mail. It should. Although some things don't work that way. Like, plate mail doesn't give you an extra instance of help mods. Maybe because the second one is, in some sense, a child projectile. Hmm. I really do like the revisions to the enchant system. There's definitely some interesting toys to play around with. There's a couple enchants that I feel are a little overshadowed now. But nothing is perfect in its first iteration. And I certainly feel like I have options now. In a way that a lot of builds I didn't really get that vibe before. I know you know what I mean. Fundamental question we have the time. What exactly does gun handling mean? Just recoil? Yeah. There's a relationship between something that is sometimes referred to as bloom and handling. But the short answer is recoil. Your recoil control is your gun handling. I hate the design of melee damage guns. They're somewhat necessary for melee to be usable against a lot of enemies. Yeah, if they're gonna design enemies that physically can't be reached with your melee button, then they're gonna need a diverse suite of ranged melee damage options. And unfortunately, that does mean we need one in the gun slot. I'm gonna go Searing Tether. I don't want Connoisseur to mess up the damage consistency. Yeah, you see the difference Amnesia makes. I think I can get away with it. With the extra bulk for Mortar. Nom nom. You gonna try Panamecium? Not on this save, but yeah, probably on the Amp Plague Storm setup, where I already have Panamecium and a few poison guns. Probably over there. Speaking of enemy you can't physically reach. I guess what I do for this is I hot swap to Universal Soldier. One has all damage. Interesting gameplay. Melda can't be fixed. That's what I was saying yesterday. I think just fundamentally, Imelda is too fucked to just... Like, there's too many things wrong. Like, I think actually everything you can do wrong with a boss is wrong with Imelda. I think Imelda is the worst boss in any Lands game. And I don't think it's close. Note that I hate most BL2 bosses. I think Imelda's worse than all of those. Truly the most unfun experience I've had in one of these games. Craw and BL1 gotta be up there. Really, I like BL1 Craw. BL2 Craw sucks. But, I like BL1 Craw. Took advantage of the Harbinger heal there. Some of these bosses would be a little cleaner to pull off in a single Dreadwind if I was matching elements. It's just I really only have Lightning and Cryo Banshees and a non-ally one. Optimum. 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 Theodore, dishonorable mentions. I don't agree. Theodore is fixable. If the soul cells weren't the way they were, Theodore would be fine. Terrible minigame between phases? What do you mean minigame? It's don't walk into the damage for 5 seconds. It's the thing that every Wonderlands boss has been trying to tell you to do for the entirety of the game. Like, it's also cheesable, so if you don't want to not walk into the damage, you can just heal through the damage. But that part is fine. It's the fact that most things in the game can't interact with the soul cells, so some builds simply can't do enough damage to do that fight in a reasonable amount of time because of that. That's the only issue I have with it. What if we like pain? Then I suggest using Optimum as your internet service provider. Or it just takes you out of the fight? Yeah, that's what boss mechanics do in non-Lands games. Source, any MMO. Destiny. Any Metroidvania boss that has some sort of immunity phase. Shame the Retaliator doesn't seem to have an effect. Now, maybe it does have an effect, just not aware of. Oh, there's the Divine Protection. You can mess around with that. So, if I run Divine Protection, I could probably get away with Agony. But if I run Divine Protection plus Amnesia, that's so much global damage. I don't really need. I could run Tyrant's Truth. Agony. Still have some global over here. I'd get the melee card. Tyrant's Truth doesn't have area damage, though. I'm down to try this. Hey, Redux Monster, how are you? Agony's conditional, not all. Wasn't it the opposite when it was tested originally? Because I seem to remember Cursed Wit being conditional and Agony not being the same category as Cursed Wit. Could be false memory. You know, a little early from work. Gotta catch a stream today. Happy to have you. Happy to have you. Or just made the hitboxes for the soul cells a little larger. That would help some of the issues. But the thing is, for example, Spirit Swarm doesn't target them. They can't be dotted either. So like any dot setup is still like anything that homes in on enemies won't home in on them. It's still able to hit them. Like, for example, if you can get Spirit Swarm to chase after an enemy that's on the other side of like the carousel bit and it flies through a soul cell, it damages it. But you can't make it stick. Need to grab an Agony for another save. How am I? Sleep deprived and warm. But other than that, I'm good, Reckless Monster. I'm good. Did I put it on? I was trying out some hammer throw, by the way, and I think Alchemical is still the clear winner for hammer throwing. No, this one has negative force. Oop. Another one was dropped yesterday randomly. Yeah. I put it somewhere. Somewhere not in my bank. Maybe a few invincible enemies tucked just behind the soul cells so the Spirit Swarm targets them and damages the cells. Not sure how feasible that is with current modding tools, though. Sounds very complicated. But I like where your head's at. It was a better Harbinger. A direct upgrade, even. A turquoise claw would be really interesting here, huh? Because if I was using a cryo melee weapon, then turquoise claw would be double dipped into blast chill. Hmm. What was the name of the save I was on? It was this one? Yeah, this was a Blight Dreadwind build forever ago. It's no longer Blight Caller. It's still named like it is. I really need to update my save names. Blazing Calamity. Love those. Hey, Popty. How are you? I gotta grab that Harbinger, too. I ideally want to try Agony with Divine Protection first. But I think Harbinger Agony is not necessarily a bad idea either. It's just I don't have means of benefiting from that dark magic efficiency on anything except the Nova. So maybe a dark magic melee weapon would be good. Side effects as medicine are strong, otherwise I'm good. How are you? Sleep deprived, hot, still have a bad ISP. But having fun. Yeah, soaked in claw armor are just fresh malts. They're just malt with everything. The thing with claw armor is that it's pretty restrictive with class options. It only rolls primary for 4 classes. The 3 class feat companions and Blight Caller. Which really restricts your skill options. Kind of like Brutal Stampede. Like, we'd never be able to get primary burr power, for example. Soap is made for burr to go burr. I still really like soap, design-wise. Like, give and take is such an interesting way of giving a strong buff. Like, hey, it helps this, but it hurts this. It's cool. I like it. I have it. I already have Euphys on my melee weapon. Euphys Agony is such an interesting idea. Yes, cat. Hello. Can't have shit these days. Oh, I have a lot of that. You know me and my stomach. I have a lot of that. Look at this cat. Hey, Vibes. How are you? Cat. You are exceptionally cat today. Yep, that is my face. Yep. That is my face you were headbutting. Uh-huh. Correct. Love you too, buddy. What enchant am I rolling for? Dreadwind. I just rolled past it. I realized what I did right after I hit the button. And it'll never come up again. Pain. I could do without it. Just, I'll never really have the opportunity to stack up Consec. Like, I can get a stack before I start spinning, I guess. Technically more damage than the Dreadwind enchant provides me, but like the defensive ability the Dreadwind enchant gives. Good old reroll. How you doing, Tom? That after spending 12k Moonworth for a specific enchant, brain was on autopilot at that point. Yeah, you just get to the point where it's like, this is my life now. I reroll, and you reroll past the thing you're sitting here for. I got it on like roll 51, 52, something like that. And here we are, almost 40 later. Hasn't come back up. Nature of the beast. Hey Nepsy, how you doing? Good to see you. Surely it'll come back up soon. That's what she said. Waiting for the right moment. Yeah. Certainly got the Blizzard one a lot. And the Barrage one. And Euphis. Which I really can't complain about getting Euphis, because it's one that I frequently want. Might not be in the mood. It has a headache. it has a lot going on at work right now. I'm in it for the long haul. We got enough for 41 more rolls. I'm obstinate. More accurately, I'm ADHD tunneling. Know that Euphis can dot. People have been saying that. I'm not sure if that's what's actually happening, based on our knowledge of how bonus elements work in other scenarios. It's more accurate to say Euphis is applying 2 dots, so it looks like it's dotting. Which is something that is already present in the base game. In fact, the easiest example of how that works is Spirit Rune. The way Spirit Rune increases lightning damage is by being a bonus element that applies to literally anything that's lightning, including dots. Agony certainly is trolling the shit out of me. Gonna run out of moon orbs for the first time in a while. I had to roll past it, didn't I? Of course. Okay. We do it live. Unequipping but sorting by score brings it to the top. I'll have to do that next time. I'm certainly not taking much from my agony. Nice. I do notice the loss of light power, but like, I think that's fine. Or not light power, burr power. You know what I mean. It's probably fine, right? More Melda, really? No, Zomboss. They have the same musical cue. I wonder, maybe Tyrant's Truth, but then I have no reason to do Divine protection. Remember that restriction thing I was talking about with which classes certain armors can roll? It's weird that Tyrant's Truth doesn't have that. Like, you can get class combos in orders that Brutal Stampede and Claw can't be, despite the fact that Tyrant's Truth is also entirely dependent on a class feat companion. Overpowered double disc for blast chill here. Yeah. Yeah. And also on Rage. Forgot to grab the better Harbinger, didn't I? It's fine. We'll play this one out. Something I think would be interesting would be combining elemental status effects, hit a frozen when fire, they suffer shock, take massive damage, combine corrosive fire to produce gas clouds. They literally did that with fusion armor. It is just exactly that is a thing in the mod. Orcanar still locked the Claw and Blight? To my knowledge, yes. I have yet to see anything other than Claw and Blight. Still pretty good for Lightning versus Solissa. Damn, that's crazy. You said it, Nightbot. Amulets too, so we can get one with other classes. Yeah, it's not like the other amulets, bro. It's not like the other girls. But no, seriously, the Vorkanar's Cog is a completely parts locked item. There's just two versions of it, but they're two separate items. Like, one of them you can only get by having DLC 4. It's just, there are two unique items that are completely parts locked called Vorkanar's Cog or Divine Protection. The vanilla one is Clawbringer, the DLC 4 one is Blightcaller. For it to be available in other class powers, they would have to make it not parts locked, or create separate entries for each class. Agony goes hard on Banshee. Agony Amnesia, predictably. Emerald. Hey, Nudu. Good to see you. How are you? What's I here for? Remember. Good, how are you? Tired. Also still annoyed at ISP. Also hot. But other than that, can't complain. Another Clawbringer Divine Protection. I have enough moon orbs for some more rerolls. Yeah, that one used to be a Brad Luck. I can sell that. Fire Diablo, presume? Yeah. You being hot to given? Oh, no, you, Ken. How you doing? The exact same Clawbringer one. I don't think I'm not sure if I've done Mirror 4 on this character. Like, the Clawbringer one only pops up if you've done the Mount Cross storyline. The Blight Caller one only pops up if you've done Mirror 4. Oh, they get added to your pool. Might have to be less picky with my melee weapon options and just settle for like a fire big ounce to cover fire. There's that Harbinger that I just put away 10 minutes ago. Cyberpunk sucked me back in pretty hard for the past few weeks. You see, they tweeted today. They're doing like hype events leading up to Phantom Liberty info. Like real world events, not in-game events. But I should clarify. Sorry, processing power is limited today. Hey Atlas, how you doing? Good to see you. Got a monitor too, I'm doing some D4 on the main one. Trying my best to stay spoiler free. Yeah, yeah. I feel ya. Appreciate the lurk, Atlas, and I hope you're enjoying the game. I think we respec to... Because I want to get that second point from Blast. Chill. That's not the slot I want. Unequip and sort by score. That is helpful. Good tip, thank you. So many UFIs. I'm never gonna see it again, am I? Unbelievable. Alright, gamer. Sorry I haven't seen too much Wonderlands. Look at those item backgrounds. What do you mean, like here? In this? Yeah, this game's UI is, they certainly made some choices. There were, decisions made that, decided things. I hope that helps. About all I gotta say about that. I wouldn't say that, Lizzie. I'd say it was designed by people who have specific taste in art that looks good in screenshots. Wonderland's UI, the UI of all time, certainly is one of the UIs ever made. Like Dragon's Fury is good, but unfortunately my weapon I'm holding is not elemental. And I don't have a lightning Imperious SMG with a 40% blade. I have this, but I don't get shell casing ring if I do that. I guess I could just not run the shell casing. Let me actually see what ring options I have. Instinctive completely kills visuals for ID and gear you're swapping between. Yeah. There were a lot of UI decisions for this game that were made for style over function. Some of them carried over from BL3, like fully rendered icons, and that problem just got worse. Yeah, it's not great. I like this game a lot, but the UI is one of the worst UIs I've ever seen. Like, look, I'm scrolling too aggressively. Well, nothing's rendering now. Oh, busy. It's very busy. It's very slow. It somehow manages to be busy while not conveying any information. Look how much information I'm getting staring at my bank. Look how much information I get opening my inventory screen. This blank section in the middle, the mod removed the character model that just sits here. But 30% of your inventory screen is a character model. And you get to see 8 of your items at once over here. And then the icons take forever to pop in. It's just not great. I know people are probably so sick of hearing me whine about the UI, but I really don't want this game's UI to be inflicted on another game. I personally hated BL3 UI too much outside of general bugs, like it selects item you're not looking at, mostly just technical stuff, not design choices. It's still a step down in design choices because you still have issues where a lot of the screens will, like, the user interface is supposed to convey information, right? It's terrible at doing that. Each lands game, with the exception of TPS, because TPS didn't downgrade from BL2, it is BL2 UI. Each lands game has had an increasingly less effective UI in terms of actually telling you information. Now, in BL3, it wasn't to the point of being completely non-functional, just occasionally frustrating. Wonderlands kept the occasionally frustrating and added completely non-functional. Yeah, Kevin, it is a little annoying. That's a good point, Cap. I don't know how the bank in BL3 is fine. Wonderland's bank took 12 minutes to render one page. I don't know. I don't know. Lesson ring. I'm looking for good melee rings that aren't shell casing. My cat. You really want to be the main character today, huh, Kevin? Run thumb cuffs. Any options that you control the quality of the models in your inventory? No. Absolutely not. Why would there be? People just turn them off. I would turn everything off. This cat is catting extremely loudly. He's the cutest. And before they incorporate ray tracing into BL4's UI, oh, the full send. I guess Sharksbane would be good too, huh? We have some cups. Hey, Etrigan, thank you for the 17 months with a 10 streak. Is text-to-speech gonna read that one? We'll see. We'll see. If it doesn't within a minute or so, I'll do it. There it goes.
She's on fire. There you go, Quack.
My name is Maximus Capicus Spamicus, commander of the armies of the Twitch, general of the PJ Salt Legions, loyal servant to the true Emperor Quag, father to a banned son, and husband to a banned wife. I will slay all Moderinos, whether in this chat or the next.
Based. Excellent pasta, as always. Father to a banned son. Now, I'm just picturing Gladiator, but with, you know, the text-to-speech coming out of his mouth. It's even better. Well done. Well done. It's rare a copy pasta actually gets me to visualize something. That's a good one. It's a classic, but it's a good one. Oh, I have a perfect gluttony here. Neat. 620 damage roll while still having the dagger storm. Okay, yeah. So because I have that, now I can benefit from Dragon's Fury. Means I need to equip more lightning. That being cryo is kind of hurting me. Just put a live wire there to fill a slot. I only get 3 stacks of Dragon's Fury, but it's still ability damage. Still something. I could take Rebuke, but I'm not gonna. I have damage reduction from the old ways. Radiance would be some bulk, but I don't want the recharge delay. I don't need Oath of Fire. I'm not doing Awe. And I guess I take a second Blood Frenzy at the last point? Yeah. We'll go tank power, crit damage, crit luck. Okay, so we should have some pretty good damage in this setup. Nightmare just didn't drop any loot. I've been scammed. That's happened to me a couple times. I melee crit chance that. Only 33. Guess that makes sense as a Banshee. I don't really need it to crit consistently. That's the beauty of not doing Alchemical Agent. You don't really need to care about your crit chance as much. I'm going up to Chaos Tiers, got the 8 last night, Ghostblade's cheat mode. Haven't nearly optimized it. Yeah, Ghostblade's incredibly good. That's even with them toning down the augment. And the augment also just not working on bosses at all. You would go there. I really want to have access to crossbolts, so we're gonna just go back to having that there. Only 2 stacks of Dragon's Fury. That's fine. That's 20% ability damage. More damage than I'd be getting elsewhere in the tree. Oh yeah, the Banshee projectiles can blast kill again. I forgot about that. Right. I remember when that was a thing before. Too much damage. Oh. I didn't expect that to kill so easily. Okay. Yeah, so, Berserker overspec Dreadwind, really good now. I mean, it already was good, but, you don't need Alchemical Agent for a Dreadwind setup at all. Because the Blast Chill changes. So I think that means mission accomplished with that change. Decentralizing Alchemical Agent a little bit. Variety is good. That it is. I think in terms of action skills, it's still very much necessary on both of the Clawbringer action skills. I'm sorry to say. It's not so much necessary on Ghostblade as that like you have no reason not to because it's in the same skill tree. The Dreadwind gets more than enough support without it. It's pretty hard. I gotta remember to switch weapons at the start of every room, because Dragon's Fury loses track of your stacks. Harbinger heal mattered there. Helped me fight the bathwater. I do notice the hitbox improvements they've done to Drill. Dreadwind feels pretty consistent against them. That's nice. Dreadwind versus Drill with Blast Fill is as clean as Alchemical Agent. 3 spell charge, Radius Scarlet Breath, interesting. Yeah, I forgot Warder can get amp. Happy with this Dreadwind setup for now. I think it's gun build time. Hey Yasha, thank you for the 19 months with the streak, still at tier 2. I appreciate the shit out of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's a higher damage Banshee. Interesting. I feel pain. I do too. What are you feeling pain about right now?
She's just a girl and she's on fire. There you go, Quack.
Back just hurts for no reason. Ah, the good old. Yeah, I'm that too. I feel you. Hey Mo. Feel pain? Yo, you're old too? That's a mood. My egg baskets? Ah, that is a particular kind of pain I am not qualified to comment on. But I hear it sucks. That's a really good Smithy's Ire. Arguably perfect. I mean, I'd personally prefer spell damage over cooldown rate, but like, arguably perfect. We take those. since phone started. It's been a month. Have you tried pooping? Most unhelpful thing you could say in that scenario. I had to say it because it's funny. Okay. What was I doing? Yeah, I wanted to send over like Revenant, bunch of other stuff. Let's go plate mail first. Default state of being on this build is either plate mail or gunslinger. Let's slap that on. Oh, we've got so many enchant options we can roll. Now that we know that FTS reload stacks as well, that's another toy to mess around with. Huh. So yeah, that shotgun I put away, the unicorn one, Pegasus, I think it was called. Excuse me, sneezes. That did just disappear from my bank, did it not? Yeah, someone mentioned it disappears, and sure enough. Same with one of the new spells. Ah, damn. I have 2 ability rings for Dreadwind or 2 melee rings. Ability only helps Dreadwind and Blastgas, or not Blastgas, Blast Chill, whereas melee helps Dreadwind directly. It indirectly helps Blast Chill by making your melee hit that caused it bigger, but it also helps your swings when you're not in Dreadwind. So like it depends. Ability damage would be better for your damage while you're spinning, but I like melee for consistency. The fact that both Dreadwind and Blast Chill get ability damage does make it a very valuable stat. So it's up to you. Let's try the host first. Guess Echo Fatebreaker. So we want the gun damage versus bosses one here. Hang on. I do the unequipped trick. Let's see if two. Oh yeah, headcanon got buffed. What does headcanon look like now? Oh, that seems high. That seems really high. Got a fire rate buff too. Fast as a shoot now. A little faster. Interesting. Oh wait, that moves it into an equip slot. I just rolled the Dreadwind enchant on this gun after like 150 rolls trying to get it on the other save after I rolled past it. Amazing. The game truly is trolling me. Ufizz. I should put that elsewhere. So it appears. Hey, Jacqueline. How you doing? I like the gun handling here. Maybe I don't get Ufizz for a while. We'll see what happens. I have high hopes for the hosts. They gave it some focused attention. Do I have a dark magic hourglass anywhere? Abo power is longer FTS. Do that. Double Dahlia, Fealty Oath. Okay, yeah. Let's see how this goes. FTS was nerfed, but it's FTS, so doesn't matter. Not worth buffing the capstone with Clawbringer. It doesn't do enough to spore. Can try it, Grave Revert. Yeah, Claw Capstone is extremely good in playthroughs, and then at endgame it just kind of never really does enough. Okay, this gun was not able to kill before, like before its buff. It's actually good now. Or it's at least killing. We'll see how it does against bosses, but this gun could not kill to save my life before it was balanced. Immediate noticeable improvement. Anarchy would skew the testing, so no. MCM for me, Mac Miller morning. Buffs capstone, you're gonna hurt yourself from it. I mean, you could always hurt yourself with it. And they did buff it, it's just still not good. Endgame. You can't? Oh, you mean you can't? I guess that's something. It's by no means is this like on par with a Mulligan or a Midnight Wisdom. But this gun is no longer bad. Ooh, Vengeance got a big buff. I should definitely pick that up. Archaic Host is no longer bad. I gotta try Revenue on this save. I forgot to move mine over. We'll do it at the end of this run. I can just use all the same gear. They stopped the bullying, but honestly most of the bosses deserve it. The boss melts are satisfying. Spectre Vengeance moment. Claw Capstone needs a fundamental change. If all the bolts could target one enemy, it would actually do good damage. Like, if you ever end up in a situation where somehow each of those bolts are all hitting the same enemy, it can do something. But, like, it's hard to support formula-wise because it's split between two elements that are on opposite sides of the soaked line. It's a lot of investments. Just... it asks a lot and gives a little. More damage? Yeah. Well, the question is, how much do you have to give it? And, like, keep in mind, it's already fantastic in playthroughs. Like, in vanilla, Clawbringer Capstone, in my opinion, is one of the most impactful playthrough skills you can have. Because as soon as you get that, you just use Storm Dragon's Judgment, and you just wipe entire maps with Claw Capstone. You can do this at, like, level 17 or something. 17. That's level 22. Yeah, like, lower claw tree is really good. It's just that one isn't. Order food lasts me till, like, Sunday. I was thinking pizza. Something I do sometimes is I'll order, like, a burger from a burger place, but then I'll just get an extra one. And if they have really big burgers, then one might even last me, like, a meal and a half in the day I order, and then I'll just have another one. Less than I was hoping for versus Banshee. Now, granted, I don't think I have Body Rune active right now. You can shoot this thing forever, though. Foods I wouldn't think to eat day 2 burgers. No, you just gotta get a non-toasted bun so that you can re-toast it, and you heat the actual burger separately. And that sounds very complicated when I lay it out like that, but... Burger place close to me called Hot Buns. Nice. Gives 2 double smash burgers and a side of fries for sub $20. Contrast, I went to Five Guys 2 days ago, and it was like $38 for 2 burgers and fries. It's a shame the Claw Capstone is so pitiful late game, because aesthetically it's the coolest capstone. I'm a big fan of it, thematically, yeah. It's one of those things that, on paper, it's not as bad as it ends up being, but it's just got problems. Hey, Butter. Thank you for the 6 months. Message, leave me alone, Twitch. Also, does the host work like Queen's Call? Because sometimes the extra bullets don't spawn at all. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, no idea. Weirdly, one of my worst builds is a spell shot. Depends on what you're trying to do on the spell shot. I guess there are more fries in the bag than the actual container. Oh, of course. Always. Every time. Hey, Heck Waiter got buffed. One of those up. Wizard's Pipe is still in the game, and that offends me. It doesn't. Someone probably likes the Wizard's Pipe, and I don't want them to lose a toy they enjoy. But the gun is just... yeah. Apparently they do that so you think you're getting more for what you're paying for. I guess that checks out, but, like, I wasn't sufficiently distracted from the $38 for 2 burgers and a bag of fries. Let's see if this Pegasus sticks around. Try black powder. I'll go over and grab Revenant at some point. Yeah, Yankov. New player here. What are your thoughts on playing a gun-based Frost Shiver build? Decently geared, killer raid boss, still somewhat slow compared to Contagion builds and the like. Yeah, so that's just a product of how gun builds work out in this game. You're not off base there. You're probably doing everything right. Gun builds are like fourth string for damage dealing. There's exceptions, you know, there's some gun builds that perform head and shoulders above in very specific interactions with very specific pieces of gear. But as a damage dealing archetype, it's like dots, melee are comfortably battling for top efficient clear rate. Dots have the highest damage potential, just melee have the second highest damage potential, and they deliver it instantly, while also having sustain. And then spells are round out that top three, with guns after that. So Frost Shiver can absolutely work for any type of build. It can do guns. It would be one of the better classes for guns, but guns are just slower. For melee, does that include Executioner's Blade? Yes. Melee has an entire archetype with Spellblade. Spellblade's effect does not apply to Exeblade. Keep in mind, Spellblade's effect, because it was problematic, was changed to apply on your actual melee swing only. Keep that in mind. Not aware of any double dipping interaction for guns unless you play Spell Shot. Maybe that might be it. Spell Shot doesn't have a double dip for guns. Spore Warden has a multi-target double dip option in the capstone, play the angles, which is damage source ability, but it's calculated off your gun. And then Blight Caller has a single target option with Geist in the Shell. There's also, if you're in vanilla, the Spore Fuse Enchant gives you another single target ability double dip. And then in all versions of Wonderlands, you have Barbalode as another multi-target double dip option. Hard to proc PTA? Yeah, PTA is fundamentally inconsistent. That's what happens again, Wailing Banshee. It depends, like Ken's pointing out. For Executioner's Blade, it often depends. Like, sure, base damage means a lot, so Banshee is very high on the base damage. But keep in mind, other things matter, like your crit stats matter. Banshee's got fantastic base damage, only slightly better than neutral crit damage. Whereas, say, Salt and Battery has a pretty average base damage, but the highest crit damage. And if you're, say, in From the Shadows, then the fact that Salt and Battery has the worst crit chance doesn't matter. So that could lead to more damage. Sometimes you want something that's well balanced, like a pickaxe if you're using it for the other things a pickaxe provides. Pickaxe has the most optimal spread of all stats. Like, if you wanted a good all-rounder, because it's got medium-low base damage, but it can roll every element, every hilt mod, can get high crit damage and high crit chance at the same time, while also having good swing speed. Now, Exeblade doesn't care about swing speed, so it gives you a bit of an out. Which isn't in Redux. Right, Spore Fuse is not in Redux. I would imagine it would be like a Spore Fuse in Redux. I'm glad it's not. I've never been a fan of that enchant. It's something you're basically forced into if you consider it a mitigating factor for the problems gun builds have, like bossing, for example. But it also forces you into Barrage, which is a bad action skill. It forces you to use another enchant slot to make sure you can actually use Barrage, because Barrage has a bad cooldown. And that means you can't use weapons that you can't reload consistently. So it locks down your weapon choices. And it's inconsistent on top of all of that. And then it's also hard to roll. I'm just really not a big fan of Spore Fuse for a lot of reasons. Or is it good to place in Redux? I agree. Can't remember if PTA can rebound off of marshmallows. I don't know either, Butter. I'm leaning towards no, but thank you for testing. Here's a clarification. How would you rate the Borderlands games, including Wonderlands, in terms of enjoyment, in your personal opinion? I only have Wonderlands, but I hear a lot of praise for BL3, aside from the story. BL3 is my favorite. This game would be my second favorite, because I like the build crafting. Same reason I like BL3. BL3 just has a wealth of content, a variety of content. I have over 7,000 hours in BL3. I have over 2,000 hours in this game, and that's my first and second most played in terms of lands games. So I'm a big fan of both of those. BL3 is a lot of potential time for your value. I think people overplay the BL3 story bad thing. Like, it's really not that different than other BL games. It's just people decided to care more about it in BL3. And if you look at every other looter, no one gives a shit about story quality. Destiny fans only do when they're bored waiting for new content to come out. And additionally, like, story is so little of your actual gameplay. Like, the main story, you can blast through that in like 8 hours casually without cutscene skip and all that, and then like you have all the other content in the game. The one doesn't even have story. It does. You just have to read. So to gamers, it doesn't have a story, but it does. You just have to read. TBS just needed content and a time machine to forget the better movement in later games. Yeah, TPS just really needed content. Also, high days. It's weird seeing you in the daylight hours. Which is sad because the Destiny Deep lore is actually very interesting. The Destiny lore is pretty cool. I think they really screwed themselves over by, when the IP was new, putting it in the background. Like, I played Destiny 1 when it came out. You had to go to a website to find the lore. A lot of people suggest BL2, but I tried it, and the gunplay and gear isn't as fleshed out for 2023 standards. BL2 is very old. It was dated gameplay-wise when it came out. Some people don't like when I say that, but keep in mind what other shooters came out in 2012. You got stuff like Halo 4. You got stuff like Black Ops 2. Like, you had shooters with very polished core mechanics that felt good to play and still hold up in 2023 come out on either side of that release. BL2 was dated from the day it dropped. So yeah, it's especially hard to go back if your experiences with the newer games. Counter-Strike came out in 2000, had better gunplay. Yeah. The movement and gunplay in BL2 are not my favorite. If you can get past that, there's lots of stuff to love. And the modding community for BL2 has done a lot to actually improve some of the old feeling things. So if you really do want to give it a chance, the modding community helps a lot. What damage type does this gun even do? Doing cryo? Let's do fire, dark magic, lightning. Okay. I plate mail. So it should, in theory, work out like headcanon. If... Okay. Amp Hilt mod be good here? It absolutely would. Now that Twin Soul is back, Amp Echo Twin Soul is absolutely optimal on this build. Is Twin Soul actually back? Like, I still haven't seen it. The notes said it's back. I just want Bill Hader as next villain for Wonderlands. I'm still 2 seasons behind on Barry. I started watching season 3 and, like, anxiety, so I put it down, but I love that show and I need to finish it. Excited to see where they take the Tina IP next. Me too, definitely. Gun looks based. It's cool, Boomicorn vibes. It's it makes the butt stallion whinny when you pick it up. It's neat. I hope they don't abandon the core idea of Chaos Chambers and future IPs based on the bandwagon hate for it. I hope so as well, Lizzie. Something I frequently bring up is that we may never have gotten takedowns if they had given up based on people not being able to separate out DigiPeak being good content from OP levels being bad features. You could spam the shit out of this gun. Hang on. They'll make improvements, also experiment with more endgame ideas in the next looter shooter game they make. And that's what I want. That, fundamentally, is what I think is most important. Did I grab a crit explosion? I did, right? Didn't bother to anoint it, enchant it, whatever. Oh, self-damage. Right. Okay. A very aggressive self-damage. Hey Dank, good to see you. How you doing? Figure out how little pump action uniques there are. Yeah. Not very common. Magic barrel shotguns. I think they really wanted people to like the magic barrel shotgun. They just something about them doesn't feel good to use. They have their uses, and you know, crossblade's good. People like the crossblade, but like Merlin's razor, and then all the Torg magic barrel shotguns. It's like, why are you a thing? Hard farming today. Lost most of my pearls yesterday. Aw, sorry to hear. Logged in too quick, I think. Stuff had reverted back to vanilla, relog back to normal, a lot of stuff missing. Oh man. No recent save backup. I obsessively back up my saves after losing items a couple times. I decided. How you doing? Been a minute. It was vanilla every session. I wasn't good enough about it in vanilla. Better about it now. Backups got backups. Hard. Decide between you and K6 ever an easy option. You see, as an indecisive person myself, I just open a bunch of tabs. Like, how many Chrome tabs do I have open right now? I don't know, like 30. I swear, the ricochets from this thing, like, home in on you. Logically, there's no reason that one should have hit me, right? Maybe it's the splash radius. I think it's the splash radius from that enchant that was making it able to hit me a little more easily. That would make sense. Anyway, here's Wonderwall. Butts down and singing Wonderwall. I've been keeping some great conversations. Got the full stuff brewing. Love to hear it. Love to hear it. It's a very satisfying gun to use. It's definitely not fantastic compared to other available options, but it's on the correct side of viable, I think. Like, the shotgun category is pretty steep competition, let's be honest. Morning, Urban Mech. Wait, I gotta update the, Redux thing. This one, right? Yeah. There you go. There's, update notes if you needed them. Days. You challenge Big Ounce was Hawk and try not to down yourself. Difficulty impossible. Guns? Yeah. There's a bunch more I haven't even seen yet. Plus the limited range. Yeah, Nunu, you're correct. First time seeing Redux, I mean, what's new? Yeah, you've got the notes for the first patch with the Redux command, and then you've got the most recent one with exclamation point Redux hotfix. It's a lot of stuff. Essentially, the most core thing I like to bring up is that Wonderlands Redux still feels like Wonderlands, and that's a good thing. The core gameplay of Wonderlands was never the issue. Just needed refinement, need a little more variety in what you can do. And a fresh coat of paints. So good to hear. Yeah. A lot of overhaul mods will try to just be a different game entirely, rather than improving the game they're targeting. Balance pass, if you will. Yeah, Amp Echo Twin Soul would be the heat here. You can hit natural crits with this thing. It goes pretty hard. Very hard to see, though. Love to gather more feedback about Lululemon from the mod community. Yeah, it'd be a valuable angle to have. Unironically, love Wonderlands just didn't grip me. It's very... Oh, Mistrial got a fire rate buff. I gotta try this. It's very laser focused on what it's trying to be. And that does go to the point of some people feeling excluded. Like, contrary to what some will say, dedicated farming wasn't absent from Wonderlands. It just wasn't... It didn't slap you over the head and be like, you do this to get items or else. And as someone who hates dedicated farming, that wasn't a deal breaker for me, but for some people, dedicated farming is the entire draw. So it was a deal breaker for them. That's one example. Some people like DLC campaigns. Me personally, I don't give half a shit about DLC campaigns because in my over 7,000 hours of BL3, I have barely double-digit hours in the DLC story areas because they don't have endgame content, so I don't care. I don't like farming items, so I don't care. That's the only replayability they have after you've done all the quests once. But, like, it depends on what you want out of the game. And I like dungeon crawlers. Diablo fan, lifelong. So the layout of Chaos Chamber works for me. I lost my Blizzard authenticator so I could play D4. I found it. It's out of battery power. Aw. What did I want? Let's hit melee weapon. When in doubt, hit melee weapon. Definitely a Daddy Farm enjoyer. Favorite part about Redux, to be honest. And a lot of people feel the same. So I'm happy they feel supported. Borderlands Redux managed to make Daddy farming feel better for those players without doing anything to hurt the people who prefer getting loot other ways. You can support both, is the whole point. Having a raid boss in a room affected all that much? No. Which is why that's one of the points that I don't consider reasonable feedback. That is nostalgia talking. Because all the people who had the same complaint about BL3 before Hemo came out never played Hemo more than once in a blue moon after that dropped. So it is just a, I want to play Borderlands 2 comment. Play Borderlands 2. But looking at it slightly more objectively than that, people like having options. People like having different framing for activities. Chaos Chamber itself is more replayable and more like it has enough different permutations that you could never see the same run twice in 5,000 hours playing the game. Not the same exact run. But because it's all presented through the same framing, you go into this one room, you talk to Dragonlord, hit start, you go in. People have the perception that it's repetitive in a genre predicated on repetition, where they're used to activities that don't change. Presentation is important. Presentation is very important. And simply having a second option next to Chaos Chamber that even if people never used it, having the second option makes the whole thing look good. Let me go get that Revenant. Come on, scroll bar. There you go. What's the name of the stupid damn thing? This, right? Put on the Dire Sack save, I just remembered. I also enjoy both. For some things I prefer hitting bunnies, like class mods, other stuff I'd rather Daddy farm. There's stuff that I'm willing to go Daddy farm in Redux. Yeah. Hey, Macho Mandolph. How you doing? Welcome in. Yeah, I gotta go over to the other save. Aren't all legit full playthroughs? A lot of them are, but no, not all of them. Absolutely not all of them. I have done more playthroughs of this game than any other Lands game. There was a couple weeks where I did a playthrough with each action skill, just making a different build around each one. Used the save editor to do sort of pseudo new game plus. So I did like pre-geared max level challenge runs. was fun stuff. I've done a lot of playthroughs of this game. It's cool because if you have dialogue skip mod of some kind, you can get through a playthrough in as little as an hour and a half. You can do a lot. That's not because it's content light, it's just because there's not really fat to trim gameplay-wise. It's just waiting for people to talk. You have a modded gear. I'm playing an overhaul mod right now, so technically, depends on what you mean by a modded gear. Or base game Blizzard. Yeah, that action skill definitely needed the Redux touch. I'll tell you that. It's not on the save? No, this isn't the right save, so that's why. Removal being able to play previous Chaos Climb runs still makes me angry to this day. Yeah, there's some interesting choices made. Chaos Chamber is the main game for me. It's really my dream end game. That said, I enjoy being able to Daddy farm the items I need to then do Chaos Chambers better. I feel like a lot of people feel as you do there, Scroll. Me personally, I just don't enjoy the farming process. It is a barrier to playing the game, and that barrier is of a size that the player has no real control over. An item with a 99% drop rate could decide to screw you over for a year straight. Statistically unlikely, but it could happen. And I've been stuck on 30% drop rate items for 5 hours at a time, much less some of the crazy ones out there. So just the whole system is not something I care for. Especially because I'm a guy who just tests weird stuff, tries to make wacky builds, so often stuff doesn't pan out. So if I had to spend 6 months farming for an item that I decide isn't good in 6 minutes, everyone's time was wasted, you know? Broken stuff like in BL3 I have Infinity Gun that does 183 trillion damage? No, because that's pretty lame. Like, where's the fun in that? No. Those pink ones, that's a unique rarity. I got my Revenant back. Revenant seems pretty good now. I was using it on a build that wasn't particularly supporting it. I'm very excited to see how hard it goes now. Get a nice suite of Dahlia guns equipped for a mix of situations. I guess we could stick with plate mail here. It's fine, right? It's fine. Roll better enchant on the White Rider. Stop buttons, why it collects dust in my vault and leaves to help people plow through the story. You don't even need it for that, though. Like, people use that stuff because they think it's a flex to bring up in conversation. Not, because even a gun with infinite damage is slower than other things that can clear without cheating in that game. It's just not interesting. Pretty lame. Or a specific monarch. Tell me how much you love Daddy Farms. Yeah. What's the source for the monarch in Redux? I haven't gotten my hands on it yet. Wow. The maker? Ah, that explains it. You know, the Dreadwind build probably farms Maker pretty well. Ghostblade is most likely still to play. We do some Maker farming at some point. 15%? So I wish I knew someone with skills to like chat and see if it's possible that I can use out online only modding capabilities. Oh, like open source API. Yeah. Control had an interest in that a while ago. I think he got discouraged and like that was when interest in BL3 was waning at the time. So I don't think he ever finished that. One of them on are bad, but I just don't want to farm that outrageous part fuck of a gun from the boss. I have to kill 3 bosses to get to. Is it at least like parts locked or almost parts locked in the mod? Revenant fucks. No? Oh, great. So many parts? Great. But love that. Different parts and elements? Wonderful. Yeah, I'm of a mind where, like, I could just pretend this is a monarch, right? I farm story bosses for legendaries. Story bosses will respawn once you're, like, at least, you know, generally, once you're at least 1 mission ahead of them in the story, so, like, just finish the next quest, and then you can go back and just save with them. Save quick farm them. It becomes in ×4 and ×8. Scratches my nostalgia itch, but like part variance of Monarch is not one of the good things about it. It's one of the frustrating things about it. And in BL3, it was a 16.5% chance from an easier farm than the Maker, and it was still miserable. Rev outperforms it for me. It doesn't surprise me. Rev is real good now. Anyways, it does seem pretty cool. It's been your favorite change so far. Obviously, color-coded skill trees, because this game's UI is just kind of terrible. Any improvements they were able to make have been great. This one in particular, it makes skill trees so easy to read, and it extends the class mods as well. That is like, it's such a minor thing, but it's so nice. It is the thing I genuinely cannot see myself playing this game without anymore. It's the color-coded icons. Maker a fight so difficult, would you recommend to make it easier? You need, basically for every build, you need anti-maker gear. Even on very strong builds, you're almost always gear swapping if you want to clear the Maker efficiently. So really strong lightning damage stuff. It's good for that. Your favorite change is a freaking UI change. I like this game a lot. It's just the UI in this game is absolutely horrific. It's inescapable. I really like this game. More than most people. It's just the UI is... Ugh. How do I get that stuff? By playing the game. Dude. Something as general as getting lightning stuff. There's no answer other than play the game and look for stuff that has this lightning icon. If you are not sure how to do that, then you're not at a point where you need to worry about killing the Maker, to be perfectly honest. There is better at designing than getting Gearbox. I always hesitate to go that far with... Like, we can praise changes made by community members and mod packs without bringing that sort of rhetoric in, because that builds some hostility, that builds some ill will, and it's not always true. Remember, game dev is fucking hard. The things that go wrong stick out to us like a sore thumb, because we just expect the things that go right. And for the number of overhaul mods that I've played for games in general in my entire life, most of them are just like, oh, what if we could do this. I think my game crashed. And then it's not really well thought through. The number of mods that have the attention to detail and the collaborative efforts that Wonderlands Redux does, that's a minority of them. Like I said, game dev hard, game crash. Because game devs are lazy in design. I feel like you're just reading Twitter comments rather than giving actual nuanced commentary on this True Kaizen. Like, remember, we can praise the fan work without doing that. If the fan thing is good, then that all the dev things do is bad. They're just lazy. Like, yeah, the UI is shit, but there's lots of things that went well in this game. Like, you don't have to go from 0 to 100 there. It's really weird. Don't do that. And in terms of laziness, no, there's some things in this game that are very innovative. Took a lot of risks with this game. And yeah, there's only so much modders can even do, as Irish and Lizzie are pointing out there. Working within the bounds of a game that exists. Just been clearing cast modes. I'm like 53 or 54. I don't know what I'm doing. Just counter it. Struggle to survive for like 45 minutes. I don't really know what's going on other than more chaos, more crystal things. The Maker is the ultimate boss of the game. It is not designed to be done until you're like really you know what you're doing. So you're not there yet. Just enjoy. Nice shirt. Thank you, Mr. Bolin. I thought it'd be cool to look like the quad collar emote today. So, yeah. Vaguely, anyway. We as a community have had years to analyze the game and issues the same way Gearbox probably doing research right now with BO4. Yeah, it's hindsight's 2020, and it's easy to backseat game dev. One thing that it's really easy to do, it's really easy to point out flaws. Offering solutions that can actually be done with the work hours required within the restrictions of budgets, with what publishers will allow, and within the very limited timelines of game update cycles. That's not something a fan on the outside in can do. Beat it? Congrats. That's a big W. Their bullet reflection. Rabbit box. Everyday life. There's a great to point out the flaws that see in a system, but generally are bad at fixing them for the overall community. Yeah, and we could even look at lands games for that kind of thing. Like, for example, the solution that a lot of players suggested to, hey, I don't like seeing so many legendaries in my playthrough. They're like, nerf world drops. So Gearbox is like, okay, we nerf world drops at endgame. And then not only did some of the loudest people asking for that say, oh, cool, it's fixed now, despite it literally not affecting the part of the game they were talking about. But then they specifically claimed, oh yeah, my level 30 playthrough feels so much better now. Like, no. It literally didn't change, bro. You can go to a vending machine and have full legendaries at level fucking 8. It's just people who are so fixated on the idea that they know best. And that's gamers. That's gamers. They think because they play games a lot, they know how to make them. And no, that's not how it works. You can understand how something works and not know how to make it. I spend a lot of time understanding how these games work. That does not make me a game dev. Same with movies and critics. Exactly. Yeah. Field BO3's world drop system made sense of the United system and the part system. Yeah, BL3 inundates you in world drops because you're never going to get anything specific you want otherwise. Not reasonably. And because of the content variety, they encourage you to actually play that content instead of just save quitting every single enemy in the game. Some people absolutely love save quitting every enemy in the game. So they're like, no. Me see orange beam bad. The difference in personal preference. And back to what I believe was what Rex Monster said. Yeah, devs are developing for a large number of people. They're trying to appeal to a bunch of different consumers with a bunch of different preferences. And in 2023, making a looter with the Borderlands dedicated farming system as the only method of acquiring loot is not gonna win people over. It's just not. It's an antiquated system that is not done anywhere else in the genre for a good reason. It has its fans, and sure, it has a place, as long as you put it alongside other things. Point is, if you ask the most vocal sections of the Borderlands fandom about that would never be their take. Point is that this whole fans know better thing, this higher fans thing, I totally support people using their experience as modders and theory crafters and speedrunners and stuff to transition into working in the game development industry. I think that's really cool that that's a thing that's been done a lot of times. But this whole idea that fans know more about the game, or at least are better at developing a game, it's bullshit. I say as someone who knows more about these games than most people. That's not me jerking off my talent. I just spend a lot of hours doing it. My primary stream content, I also do a lot of it off stream. You combine my hours in this game, my hours in BL3, it's over 9,000 hours. That's a lot of time doing anything. That does not make me qualified to make development decisions. It's over 9,000. Perfect World Drops really hurt the artifacts and class mods. Yes, and that is something that that section of the fan base doesn't think about or care about because it's not the part of the game they consume. It's not the avid build crafters who ask for those changes. The direct example of when listening to fans hurt the quality of a game. Starting to see it as people see change in a franchise they played for years. People don't like change, want their status quo maintained because that's what they know. Exactly, Ken. And this can be expanded to just outside of gaming as well. That's just human nature. And there's times when that is a good decision for an intellectual property to lean into that. And there's times when it's not a good decision. I'm always a fan of innovation. If you can remain true to the spirit of something while innovating, bringing in more people and refining, changing up for fresh experiences within the themes of what you'd expect, I think that's what sequels should do. I think that should be a given. Yeah, Revenant fucks. This thing is a boss melter. Nostalgia can be a franchise-ending thing. It's hard to find that line, and a lot of IPs never really do. Like, for example, people just kind of don't give a shit about Assassin's Creed anymore because they spent a bunch of years making the same game. People got bored, so they changed to a different formula and then spent a bunch of years making that game again. Like, they revealed a new Assassin's Creed game at the recent Sony show, and no one cared. In fact, it was hard to distinguish whether it was like a remake of Assassin's Creed 1 or a new game until they showed the title. Like, Call of Duty, pretty stale because they just make the same thing. Franchises have to grow, they have to innovate. Be more of a Zelda and less of a Assassin's Creed. Be more of a Pokemon Legends Arceus and not a Pokemon Scarlet Violet. Yeah, same brain cell, Irish. This is the conversation we had last week before, whenever that was. You all know players hate change. You can also call sequels DLCs just because these same animations once. God of War Ragnarok. Yeah. Well, I mean, people saying that this game is just a BL3 ripoff or something. It's very different. God of War Ragnarok versus God of War 2018. Horizon Forbidden West versus Horizon Zero Dawn. From an engineering standpoint, I think drop rates and item variety should be directly proportional. If you increase one, the other should probably increase too. Yeah, I think you can do like a dropped starvation for, say, an item that you only really need one copy of. Like, for example, they can make a Hellwalker 1% drop rate because parts locked from an enemy that's easy to kill. Make it rare. For example, the White Elephant comes from a boss with an immunity phase that has a loot pool that gets bigger on both Mayhem 4 and Mayhem 6 to the point where the drop rate ends up around 1% for the item at all. An item that has hundreds of thousands of individual versions because of that part variance. So I don't think we need that item to have drop rate starvation. I don't think it needs to have that number of variants at all, but, you know, if it's gonna, may as well make it guaranteed. And they kind of know that with the company man from Hemovorus is guaranteed. You always get at least one. But that proved to not be enough with how hard it is getting a specific company man, you know? Like, getting lucky this morning, got my Surtur's Wrath back already. That's really all the stuff I cared about. I've gotten back now. Did Surtur's get buffed? I completely forgot that gun existed. Mine might have disappeared because I forgot about it. If it's not in my backpack here, then it got deleted somehow. Yeah, I guess it's just gone. I didn't notice. I like using it because it's fun. It's a cool gun. I wish it was good. Negative farm was so good. Tell me how many legit God roll out of Terrors you farm. Well, that's a part variance farm. Let's see. It's exactly the same thing as the White Elephant example that I outlined. It's a very specific part combo on an item that does not drop a majority of the time from a farm that takes time. So, like, even if you're a world-class Terra speed farmer, there's some setup time involved. There's some resetting. There's resource costs to worry about. And then you have to get the drop, and then you need to get the specific drop. And that's something Deddy farmers overlook because the concept of, oh, you'll never get this thing appeals to them. But, like, if you're someone who wants to use an item, that doesn't appeal to you. A farm longer than an average human lifetime is not necessary in a game where you want to actually use the items. So, difference in ideology in the fandom. Something ridiculous like 1 in 80 million, something like that. It's the most rare item in that game, and it is on par with some of the most ridiculously rare things in Borderlands 3 and Wonderlands. And I'm playing Diablo 4, not on stream. I've been playing off stream, though. Still not sure if I like it, but I played it last night until the sun came up, so. Well, no, this isn't Diablo 4. Hey, it's the old guy. Mr. Adblock, good to see you. How are you? Do one more with the Revenant. I'm enjoying the Revenant. I gotta test the Vengeance at some point too, but like that department's not actually feasible. I tolerate it when it's feasible. Like, I farm the pearls in this mod because most of them don't have part variants to worry about, and they're from enemies that drop other stuff I care about. So I'm like, whatever. But if you were asking me to say farm artifacts in Borderlands 3, I would tell you to go fuck yourself directly to your face. Absolutely not. My time is more valuable than that. Sunburn and itchy mood. Gage, how you doing? Good to see you. Hi, Boom. How are you? Nice shirt. I felt like being Quag Caller today. Glad you like it. Nothing worse than quest reward farming in BL2. There is. Becca farming in BL3. While it doesn't have the part variance that, say, a Sandhawk in BL2 does, it is a once per character. You can't even reset your playthrough for that shit. So if you accept a Becca ever on that character, that's the only one that character's ever gonna have. Know what you also do? Should I quag Chad? Is that what I'm doing? Positive though? Positive though? Wow, Bernadette stands no chance against the Rev. This gun eats. How do they never change the way you get a Becca? How is that possible? They did change it. For the period of 2 days, Gage, they had an event that was 48 hours where you could farm a Becca from an enemy. Then they removed that event. I don't know what that enemy does. He doesn't seem to have HP. Yes, cat. Hello. Wonder if that event was pre-max level cap. I don't remember if that was at 65 or 72. Does anyone remember? I want to say it was 65, but I don't remember. Gotta pay the quag tax. It's a shame. I remember the Becca being fun. Becca slaps hard in BL3. It absolutely lives up to BL2 Becca. It is just towards the front of its class in both games. Jake. You're just howling at my door? What are you doing? Probably long shot. You think single mode and white rider counts as burst for Gunslinger?
I believe there's a cabin near you.
I don't think so, because it's full auto. Like, you hold the trigger down and it keeps doing the thing, so it shouldn't. Gunslinger. You'll at least still get the fire rate from Gunslinger, though. That's worth noting. Like, you'll still shoot faster with a Gunslinger equipped. First live wire, that does work. While playing BL1, Lazy was praising that most of the guns didn't only had one element, helped with diversity a lot, and BL1 also stopped you just having one gun with different elements in your inventory. Hope BL4 goes to that system again, maybe 2 max elements for guns, and Mal1 keeps dual elements. That can be both a good and bad thing, because you end up with some guns that are just only held back by their element. Like, they would be good, it's just they happen to be locked to an element that sucks. A lot of the fire-locked COV ARs in BL3, for example. No pew pew, it manages to be good because they gave it a relevant amount of damage. And a good gimmick. It came out at just the right time. Cartel event, weapons were balanced aggressively. But like, all the other fire-locked COV ARs, with investment and specific enough, you can get them to be okay. Any news on the Sandfang spawn issues? I have no idea what that is, Swin. Shrug. But it's good to see you. Big ammo revenue. Almost one mag in the face. No action skill. That's crazy. Oh, the legacy hunt thing. Yeah, sometimes it just doesn't spawn. I've had that happen with all of the other legacy hunts before. Yeah, can you hear this cat screaming at my wall? I don't know if it gets picked up when I'm not talking, and he doesn't really do it while I'm already talking. But he stops. Being a more simple game benefited with element lock guns. Yeah, BL1's endgame was one enemy. So, you can't? The new sound settings have been working. Yeah, BL1's endgame is one enemy. And they just happen to have a well-designed raid boss. Technically two? Sure. I don't count Nox, but sure. The real end boss of BL1 is car physics. Vehicles, hiss. Ooh. Think about the new spells disappearing as well. Which one was it? It was lethal injection, wasn't it? Because I was looking for it on a bank and I thought I was just unable to see. You could test out the buff orb, but that seems scary. I don't need that war crime in my life. Wait, how does the mistrial shoot? Yeah, that fire rate's noticeable. So, because this gun amps itself every third bullet, and preload is every 2 bullets, 2 out of every 3 bullets are free and amped? Kind of fun. Buff roar? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, Nunu. I don't know, man. This thing for a while. do that in the first place. I mean, I'm all for cobalt plays, but it might be one of those items that whoever tested was not well versed in spell builds, or like there's some spells that you get wildly different performance from just using slightly differently. For example, Wicked Gossip, if you know you can bounce it off the floor at enemies, and that's situationally the best thing to do, then that's a huge boon. Sure, you can just hit enemies with in the face with it and it kills them. Yeah, but like little things like that, like charging a laser hand is a very big deal. That's another little thing. Frozen Orb, plopping it on crit spots is huge. It performs without that, but like it takes it from good to amazing if you just plop it on a crit spot. I need to find... Is this save? Is this the one where I was doing petty tantrum stuff? Mistrial buffed? Yeah, I mean, Mistrial was kind of bad after the global gutting of Dal ARs. UFizz Livewire. Didn't think about that. SDJ Snake Stick? Yeah, that goes hard. Ah, Snake Stick can blast chill again. Times. I should really just name my saves things that make sense. I don't. One has an Omega Rush equipped. Evan, what are you doing? Yeah. I think it was this one. Maybe. Pretty happy to make Blast Chill good again. Blast Chill was already good. Counterpoint to that. It's just Blast Chill is now a competitor to Alchemical Agent. Some action skills and setups. Was this the Petty Tantrum? No, this is the Salt and Battery. Maybe I should say they made it more versatile, and that's what I like. Yeah, I still maintain that it was a good decision at the time for it to be narrowed to melee only. Because remember, in BL3, one of the big reasons for why people didn't true melee is because it did nothing better than any of the other delivery methods of melee. So applying effects that are unique to just actually hitting with your melee weapon has value. Now, we still have that with hilt mods and a couple other things, so it's still present. But I think at the time, especially because this was right before we got the influx of Buffmeister, Spellblade, Stab-O-Matic builds, we didn't need Blast Chill in there as well. We didn't need that evil. Trying to figure out which save is what by looking at their melee weapons, but I can't see the model on some of them. It's a gun build. They're so needy right now. Must be water time. It is hot. Looking for a specific save. I didn't delete it somehow. That'd be sad. Couldn't be that one. No, I wouldn't overwrite that. Right? See if it is this one. It might actually be this one. It's not. It chose poorly. You go back to searching. Somewhere here, I have a Melee build set up with a Petty Tantrum, and I want to try that, because Petty Tantrum doing Blast Chills sounds pretty cool. Oh, it might be this one. That's this one. Okay, okay, we're cooking now. We're cooking. I was doing Reaper Bones. I guess Reaper would apply to Blast Chill. That could maybe be fun. I was thinking about doing that anyway. Okay, let's cook. It's time to cook. We can't do Agony with Vampire, but it's fine because we have Faithful Thralls since we're Berserker, or since we're Graveborn, excuse me. So we still go Body Room. Good old Body Room. Divine Protection's good for mitigating the amnesia damage. Mostly. I guess we can stick with that. Inflammation can Blast Gasp, and that's pretty nice. Although we could Empowering Sigil. For Icebreaker access. Oh, I think we'll be okay. I guess we just change the skill tree a bit here. We want to get more Iron Squall. And that Blast Chill point. Double hit for having Plate Mail, now also trigger Blast Chill. Yes, because it already does from, that on regular melee. Just keep in mind, it'll be a Blast Chill off of the 30%. So, like, you could get Blast Chill on the 70, Blast Chill on the 30, both or neither. And then the Blast Chills themselves will be split into a 70-30 as well. So you'll see more Blast Chills, but it won't necessarily be stronger. Because each individual one will be weaker. "99% sure Agony's additive a Curse Wit." Hopefully Chad can vouch on that. Going off early test from Stone Swan, it was global and not conditional, but that could have been incorrect. I've not personally tested. I would have to test that. Either way, I don't have a well, I mean, I guess I have this Ancient Petty Tantrum. Use that instead. And I have the Old Ways already. Body Rune, I like Body Rune better. No matter how we slice this, actually. Thing is, do we want Reaper Augment? Which do we value more here, chat? I could get Squall and 2 out of 1 Blast Chill instead of getting Reaper Augment. I still don't know how Reaper Augment works, like formula-wise. That's a 35% fresh malt, and that's a pretty big deal because we could double dip that on Blast Chill. Talking. Since Salt and Battery Dagger Storms double dip melee damage, do Petty Tantrum explosions? This shouldn't be that different. Extra dark magic efficiency sounds good, but we get 25% from Reaper, and then we get, if we were to go over to Agony, get that. I don't need spell cooldown that bad. Sure, fuck it, we ball. And with the purple Hydra Sigil, is summon a single in Redux versus vanilla with summoning multiple. I didn't even think about that as a possibility. Maybe they did that to give Frostburn some extra value. That'd be an interesting choice. So I could either go Capstone here or double tier 5. Getting access to Lord of Edges, Blast Gasp, Squall, and Blast Chill. Go what? 1, 1, 1, 2? I want to try Reaper Augment. Okay, we ball. I need to pull one more point from over there. I may as well get Moira's Blessing because I'm down here. Have area damage in my armor? No. Okay, I'll try this. I have no idea how this is gonna go. I should take tank power. Instead, we'll focus that first. Another pro of Agony would be that swing speed. That'd be fine. It'd be fine. Figure out enchants.
Now this is the look of a hero.
I want Consec melee. AoE radius. ASA AoE radius would make sense too. for the tantrums and the inflammation. I'll take that. There we go. I guess I should put a Stab-O-Matic on the save as well. Logged in today and my packet says lethal injection is still in the inventory. Yo, nice. There's conflict melee. I think maybe try these out for now. I could stand to have better rings. Have an extra Stab-O-Matic to use? No, I don't. Alright, I'll have to go get one somewhere. Extra Stab-O-Matic, extra Revenant would be good here. Hey Don, how are you? Supposed to summon one on purpose, and that just sucks for my Brutal Stampede build. Maybe it's just, if it's supposed to work that way, it's just to incentivize Frostburn further. Frostburn still summons 3, I know that much. And it is the only one that gets extra charges and duration parts. Go shell casing, low ammo on the live wire. Yeah. Try that. I'll try this. How's my melee crit chance? 60% before shell casing. Not a bad place to be. Alright, not having burr power over here is questionable. I actually don't think I have anything better right now. See what happens. Been very interested in Petty Tantrum, not tried yet though. It pleasantly surprised me. Last time I used it. Not having Iron Squall is Monka, but there's a lot of explosions happening. Swing speed is very slow, but everything's dying. The swing speed is very slow. The pro effect gives swing speed? Yeah, I just don't have a pro right now. I'm using a legendary melee weapon, I am holding a live wire, and I am using a body rune. I would have to give up either live wire or body rune. Giving up live wire makes sense. You just pearl. I can pull any pearl from my my bag. Is Monarch a pearl or a legendary? And does it still get a blade like it used to? Legendary? Boo. I'd really benefit from having extra burr power, more swing speed. Okay, let's try a... This is why we test. I don't think there's a bladed pro gun. I didn't think there was either. It's fine. The blades are just regular. See, that's so much faster just for the pro effect. The blades are just regular melee damage, so it's not very impactful at all. Fortunately, with Vampire, we never get access to the Agony's damage, but the Dark Magic efficiency ain't bad. I don't know. You just sit here doing this. Switch to some kind of amulet with burr power. I'm doing this though. Is a low-level blood bag? Sure. Just kind of a haha funny. Concept could work. Just kind of keep Reaper going as long as we have, as long as we're in range. Once again, I think Theurge optimal here. Do some downtime. It's a haha funny. Let's do workshop. Amusing though. Hey Casey, what are we working on today? Bouts between a bunch of things. That was we're trying out Petty Tantrum. I definitely want more swing speed on that, and I gotta figure out exactly how the Reaper augment works. It sounds really good, but I don't think it works the way I'm hoping it does. But it's still gonna require investigation. We haven't done any Ghostblade today. Let's do some Ghostblade. First, I'm running to the bathroom. Real quick. BRB. Okay, I am back. Frostburn's good for Stampede, leaves Purple Hydra Sigil in a bad spot where everything it does is better by other spells. Big Shield and all damage. Regen Sigil Hydra is done better by Frostburn casting Hydra spells. So you're saying that the unique shouldn't be better than the non-unique version that you can get from anywhere? Question mark? Your Clawbringer build recommendation? I haven't played my Claw since this time last year. I really like Clawstalker Reactor. Taking Stabomancer, grabbing Alchemical Agent, and then just throwing the hammer. You can one-shot bosses on max difficulty with that setup optimized, and your hammer throw, as long as you retract it immediately, is a 5-second cooldown with no investment. You could use that as your only means of damage if you want to, until you hit enemies that the hitboxes are fucked on, but you can hammer throw. It's really fun. I have souls. Do a boss run and then want to farm some Omega Rush. I'm gonna play some Teamfight Tactics, League of Legends. The beta test and new shit, but currently in queue for 33 minutes. You'd think with a game as big as League that they'd have the server thing figured out, but like, I don't know. Maybe everyone's got that Blizzard dog in them with just under-prepping servers. Always. You popped? Let's go. Yeah, this is my favorite post-content update build. Super glassy Ghostblade. We have no bulk whatsoever. We're using Deathless to turn on Euphys. But Omega Rush Ghostblade with Blast Chill from Armor. Euphys. Frostburn does Hydra, Shield, and Singularity. Yes, I genuinely think the Purple Sigil as well should have a higher Hydra count. Why? Like, why does Frostburn having those things mean that a single non-unique variant that you can get from literally anywhere should have more effects when it's already desirable? Like, it's still what you use if you don't have a Frostburn. It creates a progression order. You know, you get your Vigilant Sigil. Okay, you might get a Love-Struck Bow. Cool. And you get a Frostburn. You're chilling. What's wrong with that? And the Singularity on Frostburn can be very problematic at times, I will say. It's not always an upside. Experiencing unexpected server load at the moment. We did just launch an 11-year long-awaited game. Didn't expect it at all. Sorry for the inconvenience. I did only have like a 5-minute queue time yesterday, in fairness, for D4. But I'm a gamer, so I still complain about it. Apparently D4 early launch is pretty damn smooth. I mean, they had they had 4 beta weekends, so it fucking better be. They had 4 beta weekends, and as you mentioned, the game's been anticipated for a long time. And also, you know, Blizzard's reputation kind of needed them to put out a good release, so yeah. I've decided on trying D4 or not yet. Definitely not going for pre-order. It may pick it up later. I haven't even decided if I like the game. Like, I played it until the sun came up today. But I don't know if I can accurately say it's because I was having fun, or if just I wanted to get to the fun, you know? And yes, I briefly forgot about Ghostblade hitbox being fucked in this fight. The fancy shirt. I wanted to look like Quagcaller today. I was sweaty and needed to change my shirt, and this one was there, and I was like, oh, I could be my own emote. Better than Outriders, though? Oh, yeah. I like Outriders. I think Diablo 4 is objectively a better game. Whether or not I like it, still deciding. Something can be an objectively good or an objectively bad game, and you can still like it or dislike it independently of that. For example, Redfall is an objectively bad game, but some people still find enjoyment in it. Breath of the Wild is pretty objectively a good game, but I don't like Zelda games, so it never grabbed me. Maybe Tears of the Kingdom changes that. Maybe I'll try that. You do the pose? You get it? I like to try out D4, but I like PoE and its complexity, kind of doubt it and enjoy a more casual approach. I don't think being less complex than PoE makes it casual. I think PoE is just hyper complex. And I mean, PoE was inspired by D2, and D4 is more like D2 than D3. At least in the core systems I've experienced so far. So I think they're maybe more similar than you might expect. What about a Zelda game don't you like? I've never played a Zelda game that I've enjoyed. It's not the format, because like Darksiders 2 is a Zelda game pretending not to be a Zelda game, right? And I enjoy the shit out of Darksiders 2. I've never played a Zelda game that I've enjoyed. I've not played Tears of the Kingdom yet. Like 5 minutes of experience in Breath of the Wild and someone else's save. I played some of the older Zelda games, and I was like, I just didn't have the nostalgic attachment to the IP to care what was happening. Never grabbed me. No huge, hits or anything, just never grabbed me. Oh no. He went there. He went there. The mad lad. And we're off. You're an agent of chaos. Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom is much more a sandbox puzzle solving than puzzle adventure like past Zeldas. I would probably maybe like it more, even though like I'm not a huge puzzles guy either. But a game I've been playing recently that I've really enjoyed is Pokemon Legends Arceus, and I'm told by, you know, everyone I do Pokemon stuff with that it's basically just Pokemon Breath of the Wild. So like me liking that game would maybe make me try the other one. I don't know. It's just an IP that never grabbed me. But it's something I can still, from the outside in, acknowledge has objectively good entries and successful for good reason. That's why I brought it up. I want some more Twin Souls. Not Twin Souls. I said it again. Omega Rushes. Combat system itself is not very complex. You know me, I like combat systems. But I know not to expect it in games where that's not, like, the appeal. Shooting me. I don't have the bulk for this. I'm trying to loot. Leave me alone. Yeah, Kevin, they are being mean. Okay, I got an Exy blade that blast chilled. That's what saved me. Amazing. Yes, cat. Hello. My body. One things I lost besides my pearls, my lightning heart check. Confused about that one. Easy to get back though. Yeah. Heart check is fortunately an easy farm, and you know, don't need to care too much about the roll in the item. Not that much. No. Purple Sigil Hydra conversation. I don't like that the purple version is worse in all directions compared to the unique. The purple you can get anywhere should be better in one direction, so you get a bit more variety in choices. Frostburn has the singularity, which is sometimes detrimental. Frostburn is frost locked. Oh, that's new. Earthquake. Huh. Haven't seen that before. Stop shooting me. Stop doing it. What did I have in my spell before? No, just that. Or something for builds from Redux? Probably not. Probably not. One very slow going build stock project is enough for me. So it's like a really slow but really strong thunder. That's really cool. That's really cool. Ever turned out to be a base game Wonderland stock? It's still in progress. It's just one of those things that has so many moving parts, and we kind of pass the burnout ball back and forth. It's like, okay, I'm burnout now, you do stuff. And it's like, oh, I can't, I'm busy. ×4. This thing with polymorphs probably insane, huh? I like that. Quaking Thunder driven by an old person. Hey, it being slower means it'll register more hits. Opium. Accidentally killed myself with a singularity frostbird more times than I'd like to admit. Yeah, just vacuums barrels into your face. Stop shooting me. Hitbox on these guys, not particularly Ghostblade friendly. Not me running to pick up a health bar. That was silly. Lurk time. Enjoy your lurk, butter. What is that? He's standing in the Ghostblade, not taking damage. Guess gotta his feet. I gotta go for the feetsies. I can tell you there's two things they just did not care enough to test in this game. Referring to vanilla components here. The UI and the hitboxes. The most frustrating things. Earthquake fire? Yes. That note I should jump on my companion build to remove that singularity frostburn currently used. Well, the thing is, it's still worth it. It's just something to play around. It gives the item a downside. Otherwise, it would be better in every situation with absolutely no thought required. Perhaps good with Calamity Armor? Ooh, maybe. It's not my well-known bad aim, it's the hitboxes. Yeah, like, as you saw there, like, Ghostblade was literally on top of that enemy and not doing damage. Like, my aim's bad, but it's not that bad. See, I managed to angle it in a position where it's actually hitting, and I already killed one of them. So when it hits, it hits. It's an issue of it not making contact. It's not making contact now. It could sometimes be both. In this case, though. Stop shooting me. Crazy that those enemies aggro at all. Hey, triple radius time skip. That's the second triple roll time skip I've gotten in 2 days. As the world dropped. That's weird. I got triple crit chance yesterday. Actually managed to hit. And, like the entirety of that Ghost Blade. Boy, it was so much cleaner. Gonna die to these ads being annoying. Just give me the XC Blade with the Blast Shell. Thank you. All you gotta do is ask. Oh, I keep forgetting. They buffed Crying Apple's Nova. But by how much did they buff that? Because it would need a lot. But maybe they gave it a lot. I also have Selena. Just knock me out of bounds in my dubs, huh? Ghost Blade? Oh, okay. Ghost Blade decided it didn't want to hit enemies anymore. This is definitely a gun build Plague Storm kind of farm. That's okay. Or a Salt and Battery FTS. Yo, a Chaos Emerald. Have to call greens that every time. It's haunting me. Red Wind enchant on a shield. Do need another Stab-O-Matic for other builds. I don't need that negative force. I have like 8 negative forces. Yes, I drop pearls on the ground and then save quit out. Built different. A couple more runs. Or we'll go until I run out of souls. It's hot, my stomach started to do a thing. I'm thinking the focus of tomorrow will be acquiring new items. I still don't know most of the guns. And I'd like to change that. for to download. I got it from Nexus Mods. Go to the Wonderlands category. Quad bow. Forgot that item exists. And so did Gearbox. Yes, this will be the last room. Yeah, I want to mess around with new spells tomorrow. Also, acquire all the new guns. Could be like this goes with. Just hit. Simply hit for it. I get the altitude low enough, it hits them. So weird. The hitbox is like empty in the middle. Crab is the MVP. I do love how many world drops you get from these legacy hunts. Speaking of, their Dune chant. See if that one disappears by the time I load back in. Thought just occurred to me. It's interesting that UFizz works with Deathless. They must have specifically accounted for that because in vanilla, Deathless is once your health is full, not as at 1. Funny. Okay, yeah, that's it for today. Only did a little under 4 hours, but it's hot. Like, it's real hot. More tomorrow, like I said. At some point in the next couple weeks, I do want to do another BL3 challenge run because that was a good time. So that's somewhere in the cards. The Pascaroni is still on BL3. How long has he been? Only 2 hours.
I'm gonna be the bestest of all times.
Yes, that's Pascaroni. Go ahead and jiggle for Pascaroni. I'm gonna take a shower because I'm fucking sweaty, man. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for hanging out. Listening to me think at myself. Through all this theory crafting. Wonderlands Redux update's been sick. If you're a build crafter and you've been holding off, it's definitely a cool time to dive in. And the team's gonna continue to do more with the mod. I'm gonna take a shower and probably play some D4. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.